Welcome in, everybody, to TexAgs Rewind here, presented by T-Mobile. They want to remind you to visit T-Mobile.com/acrossamerica to learn more how you can get value and coverage with T-Mobile. Matt Browning, Kelly Adams, The Fan Show, presented by Gerard Construction here on the YouTube show. All right, guys, during the show, a fight broke out about who's cooler, Mick Jagger versus Justin Timberlake. I don't know how that became a topic.
It was brutal, too. It was blood. There was tears.
It was not good, but this is what I want to do. AM radio audience, definitely Team Mick Jagger. YouTube audience, I'm betting on
Timberlake.
JT. So I want to hear from you guys
Timberlake.
in the comments. We had a lot on the show, Kelly. I guess the first one, Logan and Tap, trying to fix A&M hoops, and you gave us a little coach segment. Don't break it all down, but the biggest thing they need to do...
Pass the ball.
Pass the ball.
Many times.
We also had Joe Evans on the show, opening day coming up this weekend, around college basketball with our buddy Aaron Torres, and the Go Hour with Stephen McGee and Olin Buchanan.
Hey, future governor right there, Stephen
Love
McGee.
that,
I'd vote for Stephen McGee.
It's TexAgs
Over all the
Rewind.
candidates are currently out there.
This one went a little longer than I expected. TexAgs Rewind. We've got a couple weeks before the Combine, but kind of remind us what it was like for you, getting ready for it, and how nerve-wracking that whole experience was.
Well, I remember I got invited. I don't know how many quarterbacks there were. I'm going to guess it was 18 my year, whatever that number was. And so I got invited as a throwing quarterback, which wasn't – basically there's 4 guys that are at the end of the invite list that have to show up for all the workouts. So I throw to the linebackers. I throw to so I'm there the entire deal, which was an awesome opportunity for me. I mean, that was a dream scenario. I was glad because it ended up working out in my favor. So I got to meet all the coaches. I was hanging out. I was on the field every day. It's a meat locker, right? They're just rotating in bodies. And, you know, the Combine gets a lot of press and hubbub, but ultimately it's more of just an evaluation. The meetings are important, I think, for the top draft guys. How do you respond? They're going to try to push your buttons a little bit and see what kind of kid you are and all those type of things. And they're going to get a feel for your understanding of football, especially for the quarterback guys. You're on the board, you're answering questions. All that stuff's fun, but I think the money is made ultimately at the private workouts. You know, when the quarterback coach flies down from New England to come work you out one-on-one. That's where I think their opinions set in.
What button did they try to push with you? What was the question or the line of questioning that they said, let's see if we can't unnerve this McGee kid?
Well, you know, I think they try to go after guys. I'm trying to remember that the kid in my class that I distinctly remember blew up on him. Because if there's a guy that has a history of, you know, a blow up on silent or an issue with, they're going to try to get under skin to see if they can get, because they don't want that on their team, right? Because it's divisive. But he's a great player, so they know he can have an impact. So they try to push that, right? And I think it was a Texas player that had a drinking incident and ran into a building driving at Texas, like in Austin almost.
Sergio Kendall.
Was that it?
Maybe. It sounds like Sergio Kendall.
Anyway, I remember they were trying to get under his skin potentially. I felt like he was a good kid. I just made a bad mistake. But, and I don't want to tell the story on air because I don't remember the exact specifics of how it went down. I just remember hearing of it because I was there all the time. It's the old train station hotel thing. And I'm like, dang. Mine basically dove into the X's and O's, right?
Oh.
And so I didn't really get in a fiery situation with
maybe
the staff.
They said, what would you do if I told you that I'm the guy that spray painted your truck?
Yeah. They
what'd you think of that color?
So, Stephen, I'm actually looking at your Combine scores right now.
Oh, I want to hear that.
Do you remember what your 40-yard dash was?
I remember being frustrated. They added like 6/10 of a second to my official time from the one I actually ran.
It says 4.61 here, according to this.
That's pretty good.
Pretty good. I want to find some positives. I'm having a hard time finding any positives when you lose 7 straight.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's not good. And, you know, especially the other night, you lose to an LSU team. One, obviously, we talked a few weeks ago about the first LSU game in Baton Rouge that was in the hands of A&M. But then, I mean, LSU came into that game really struggling. I mean, they had lost 4 or 5 in a row. I think the last game they won was against A&M. You know, LSU loses at Vandy the other day. And so Yeah, I don't know what to say. The good thing is, obviously, without having looked too closely at A&M's schedule, there are obviously good wins to be had in this league. I don't know how many games they have left against fill-in-the-blank teams, but, the team's obviously struggling, don't know exactly what's going on. But, yeah, weird deal with them right now. There's no doubt about it, and I understand the frustration. I really do.
It is Around College Basketball, brought to you by Milliken Reserve, a College Station community featuring homes, trails, farms, and wide open spaces with a mission to build a healthy community around nature. Take part in the Milliken Reserve community with a Conservancy membership. Learn more at millikenreserve.com. Aaron Torres from Aaron Torres Online and Fox Sports Radio with us here on the BCSI hotline. All right, man, so two teams to talk about here. Arkansas, a team that A&M did beat, and Tennessee. Both are playing some really good basketball. Just give me your thoughts on what you've seen, how they've kind of changed the way their season has gone.
Yeah, well, I can tell you, I know how Arkansas season has changed because I actually had Eric Musselman on my podcast today. I've known him for quite a while. And we talked yesterday after the Auburn win. So people, if you are a general SEC hoops fan, and it's not just about the Aggies, it was a fun interview. I just posted it right now. So, with them, he shook up the lineup, and I don't know how much you know about his background, Nuno. I've talked about it a lot before, but he comes from the NBA. He coached in minor league basketball. He coached in the CBA and the NB, whatever, DL, whatever it was, now the G League. And he's used to, losing players, gaining players. I mean, he's told me a story for many years about when he was in the CBA back in the 80s, early 90s, whatever. They had a layover in some city and wherever on an airplane, and his three best players got called up to the NBA right in the middle of a big stretch. And so he's used to, adjusting his lineups, you lose a guy, gain a guy, whatever. With Tennessee, Tennessee will be interesting. I mean, they play Vandy this weekend and they play Kentucky next week. They're on, I think, a 6-game SEC win streak since they lost to Kentucky last time. And I think if you kind of look at the schedule, you kind of sit there and say, well, they've kind of caught the right teams at the right time. The LSU team we just talked about, they played Vandy during that stretch. They played Mississippi State last night. So I would lean Arkansas, especially because right around this time last year is when Arkansas got hot in SEC play as well. But we're going to learn a lot about both teams. Arkansas has to go to Alabama tomorrow. Alabama, has struggled, but for the most part has been pretty good at home. And then obviously Tennessee has Kentucky at home on Tuesday. So we're going to learn a lot about both these teams really quick. I would lean Arkansas, but both are playing really good basketball right now.
I just want to see our team just compete with a lot of intensity, with a lot of drive and enthusiasm. We're talking about using the word destroy. When we have an opportunity to take over a game, we expect to take over a game and do it big. And we've got some good teams in here. They're not high-profile teams, but teams that we could hiccup if we're not really invested in what we're doing. So, just really want to see our team take over games.
Did I hear you use the word destroy? Is that what I heard?
Yeah, you got to throw that out once in a while.
I love it, though. It's a mindset, right? It's a psyche that the team has to embrace.
Yeah, it is a mindset. And, we look at last year, we reflect on our past season and the opportunities we had to win very big games right down the stretch in the seventh inning and weren't always able to finish. And so there's a mindset. There's a mindset of finishing. There's a mindset of destroy, of attack, just that pursuit at all times, putting pressure on teams. And that's how you finish. So, that's something we think about, in the off season, and then try to everything we do in practice and preparation to, implement that mindset.
To me, I keep hearing, and I understand why you say it, but I'm beyond that. At least they didn't quit. At least they're playing hard. Bro, that's what I expect you to do. To me, any Billy Gillispie team, any Buzz Williams team, you're not going to quit. That's not in your DNA. But I do also understand, though, when losing starts happening, it's not that you quit. It's just it's harder to make that extra effort. You may not think it. Am I making sense here?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, your intensity when you are winning, when you won 4 games in a row, your intensity continues to grow. No matter how hard you think you go, your intensity continues to grow because you are on that high. You have that adrenaline. You like the feel of winning. When you're on a 7-game losing streak, you may think you are playing as hard as you can, but you're really not. Like there's stuff that you can be doing that you can take that extra step. You can get on the floor half a second quicker for a loose ball. You can go grab an extra offensive rebound. And those are the things that you have to do. That's the mental aspect that you have to fight through to get the ball to bounce the right way to hopefully win a game at some point.
Well, like you say, it's almost you're not reacting now. You're almost having to go, I got to go dive for the ball again, and those sorts of things. But I also will say this other thing, because of this mental fatigue, I think there's players trying to do more than they're capable of doing, especially on the offensive end, to try to get some kind of spark, and it's hurting much more than helping.
And what's hurting is those players that are doing that are freshmen.
Right.
Or second year COVID freshmen, however you want to list them.
Super freshmen or fantastic freshmen.
Exactly. Like they're the young guys that don't necessarily understand exactly how to do it, but they want to do it. And that's a good sign because this team, they haven't given up.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see that they're playing hard. They're just playing better teams. You know, Missouri and South Carolina are really the only two losses that shouldn't have happened. On paper. On paper.
You know, it's hard. You know, my son's teams all growing up, what do? Get in the middle. Okay, hard work pays off. Right now, they're probably not believing that hard work pays off.
Yeah, they're saying it. They're going through the motions, but they're, what are we doing?
But it's also that hard work during the week adds up to game day. And if you don't show up 15 minutes early with like a chip on your shoulder to practice and practice with a certain chip on your shoulder, if I'm in the middle of a 7-game losing streak, I'm getting a flagrant foul because I'm upset. Buzz is going to get mad at me. But this team has such a fine margin of error. Like, it's such a fine margin of error.
You know, and I'm sure Buzz has already done something to this extent, but Billy G, when we lost to Texas Tech at Texas Tech the third year, cost us the Big 12 championship. Basically, we didn't know it at that time, but that's basically what it cost us. The next day after getting back, and I've told this story. People that are listening have probably heard this already. Nuno, you haven't heard it. He takes one ball off the ball rack before practice. We're all taped up and everything. We're ready to go, and we know we're about to get our butts handed to us because we shouldn't have lost that game. He takes one ball off the ball rack, walks up, walks up the stairs in Reed, up whatever it is, up 108, 109, whatever it is. And he's like, everybody come with me. He's got one ball. Walks outside the gym, and we're all thinking, all right, it's going to be fight to the death for this one ball. I mean, one person's going to survive. Who is it? And he takes that one ball out there, and he takes us outside, and he pauses for a second. We're like, God, this dude, he's going to kill us. Just everybody has highest level of anxiety. Yeah. We don't know what's going on. And he points up at the sun. He's like, we lost yesterday. Sun came up. No big deal. Didn't have practice that day, gave us the day off. It was a mental reset of, and we were doing well that year. It was just one loss.
Right.
But he knew that it was going to take a toll on us because we knew the magnitude of that loss. Sure. And it was just a reset. I'm sure Buzz is doing something along those lines, and has done something or did something after this game to just reset them and hey, pressure's off.
You know, I'm going to use that with my kids. If they get a B, seriously, like, and they're
I'm
like,
celebrating.
Dad, I got an 86. And I'm like, let's go outside. And I'm going to take the report card with me, and I'm just going to look up in the sky and be like, see, the sun's out. Hi, Kelly.
Howdy.
Tell them what to do.
Like, subscribe, retweet, whatever you do on TikTok. Recomment. Whatever you do on TikTok to share is a good one. Yeah. I've never been on Snapchat either, so I don't know what to do there.
What's the name of the show?
TexAgs Rewind.
Presented by?
David Gardner's Jewelers. No. Not David Gardner's Jewelers.
We love them.
All Tex Roofing. Greatest company in town.
T-Mobile.
Gerard
Right.
Construction.
T-Mobile.
Your custom home builder for the Brazos Valley.
Now we have to redo this one. End scene.